Hey there, everybody. Gotta learn new things sometimes, right? Forgive me if I keep looking all around because, like I said, this is a new thing for me. I mean, yeah, I've done videos on TikTok, I've done videos here, but I've done live videos on Facebook, but I haven't done one here. So I've been wanting to get more people into this channel because I feel like I can interact with you better because I can. It feels like I'm looking at you, right? It's a little more direct, it's a little more real. So if you just happen to come across this and you're not subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. That makes it much easier for me to do the things that I want to do to help you guys. And it also puts us in a position to where we can get this message out there quicker and further for the people that really need to hear it. Um, so if you're catching this live, cool. I can look over here and I can see already there's no one here. Or even if you're just watching this back later. I mean, that's like I said, this is a test. This is how it's going to be. I'm not expecting anyone to actually ever come to these for a while, but I want to talk about this topic that. Sorry, I keep seeing little flashes on the dashboard, but I want to talk about this topic. It's 501c3s. Is it worth it? Um, I want to touch on that just a little bit and kind of get you guys prepped for what's coming next so that we can continue to talk to this in much more depth. Um, so for a while, I have been spitballing the idea of something called 60 Minutes with Mike. And instead of overthinking it, I figured I'd just go ahead and hit go and we'll see what happens. So if you're here, cool. If not, that's fine too. Like I said, it's a test, and we're going to see where this goes. We're going to see how where this one video goes because I didn't really plan. I've got some notes. I've got some things I wrote down, some things I want to touch on. But other than that, this is pretty much unplanned, unscripted, unrefined, unlike a lot of the other content that I put out there. But bottom line, this is a conversation that we need to have because it's been pretty loud. I spend a lot of time in Facebook groups, and I know there's a lot of people that say Facebook is dead. Listen, there's a lot of people there, a lot of you folks there. This Facebook caters to our age demographic, but I've seen it here. I've seen it even on this channel. Some comments, TikTok, lots of comments. I've seen threads blow up in Facebook. I've seen things start in my inbox. And here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a pattern emerge. I'm seeing the same conversations happening over and over again. The same questions, the same frustrations, the same situations that don't really get resolved in a comment thread. It's stuff like, are we handling money the right way? Do we even need to be a 501c3? Why does this feel harder than it should be? Or, how do we fix this without actually making it worse? And what I've noticed is this: people don't need more opinions. That's what happens on a Facebook thread. Lots of opinions coming at you from every direction. And a lot of it is just noise. A lot of it is half truths. A lot of it is patently wrong. And I want to create a space where people can talk about these things and not have to worry about being dogpiled. That's why I'm saying that people need a place to think clearly. They need a place where they can actually talk through what's happening without it turning into a debate. So that's kind of where this idea comes from. It's not going to be a webinar because, as you know, maybe you know, I don't know, but a webinar is directional. It's in one direction. It's from presenter to you, no interaction. Some of them you can set permissions to allow people to chat with you, etc., etc. You can open up microphones, but that's just not always the best way to do it. It also won't be a lecture. You're not going to come to me and I'm not going to present and give you slides and just bore you to death for 60 minutes. It's going to be an actual working session. Does that make sense? Kind of like we did with the roundtables, but a little more focused. And we'll get back to the roundtables, I promise. Just been busy. So, kind of to kick that off, we're going to start with something that came up this week. And I mentioned it at the beginning, and that's the 501c3. The question was basically, is being a 501c3 even worth it? Or is it just more trouble than it's worth? And honestly, that question comes up a lot. I'm not going to say it comes up all the time, but it comes up a lot. But here's the thing. It's not really a question about nonprofit status. If you were to distill everything that I have seen, the patterns that I've uncovered in all of this, it's a question about fear. Not to put too fine a point on it, it's fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of doing something wrong, fear of stepping into something that feels complicated. And listen, I get that. Because a lot of people asking that question have already seen things go sideways. It's why they're asking the questions. They're being cautious. I mean, they've seen money get mishandled. They've seen leadership make bad decisions. They've seen systems break down and not recover. So when someone says, hey, you should formalize this, the reaction tends to be, why? Why would I make this harder on myself? But here's the shift that has to happen. The 501c3 designation is not the risk. That's not the risk. Going to the IRS and filling out the paperwork and requesting your 501c3 status is not the risk. Operating without structure is the risk. And that's where a lot of these groups get stuck. They're trying to avoid the discomfort of structure, and I get that, but the discomfort is actually the protection. Structure forces clarity. It forces conversations that people would rather avoid, and it forces accountability. And yeah, that's harder in the short term, but it's what prevents the long-term problems people are already worried about, the long-term problems that we're starting to see surface over and over again inside of these social media groups. So when someone says that it's more trouble than it's worth, what they're really saying is, in my opinion, it's more work than what we're doing right now. And listen, that might be true. But the better question is what you're doing now actually protecting you? That's the important question. Is it protecting you? And not only just you, is it protecting your group? I just had a conversation with someone about protections and insurance. And one of the things we started discussing was something that they had never considered. And that's D&O insurance coverage. You know what that is? That's coverage for your directors and your board members so that they don't become personally liable. There's a lot of things out there that a lot of people do not think about. We need to start thinking about them. So here's a couple of scenarios that I took out of one of the more viral threads. And I think it's helpful here because I feel this. The first one is, we don't want the school controlling our money. Makes sense, right? Even I've heard that from other people when we've been going through bylaws and MOUs, or memorandum of understanding, when we've tried to insert guardrails into their system. It's a very early on topic. We don't want the school controlling our money. And that instinct does make sense. But here's where the confusion happens. And this is usually where I can dismantle that pretty quickly. A properly structured booster organization doesn't give the school control. It doesn't. It defines the boundary. Without the structure, things do get blurry. With it, things will get clear. They'll clarify. That's what a solid memorandum of understanding is for, an MOU. It defines the boundaries between the nonprofit organization and the school. It reinforces the bylaws of the group into the structure of the conversation. When you have proper structure in place, the school cannot control, they will not control, because you've defined your boundaries and you've made it clear through documentation and procedure, and they will, I will say that they will honor that. Because they're not, most schools, I would hope, are not some loosey-goosey run organization. They're people that are also run with governance. They have a board of directors. They have a board of education. They have very specific ways. They have stronger oversight than you guys do, or harder. So having that structure in place is not being difficult. It's not being that parent, but it's defining who controls what. And the 501c3 allows that to happen. If you're running informally, absolutely the school can come in and take over because you haven't been formalized. So do you see where that is? Yeah, nobody wants to go through that structural process of actually building out your 501c3, writing bylaws, writing an MOU, having the conversations, getting sanctioned by the school. It's a lot of work. It really is. But it's that work that's going to directly protect you from the thing that you're most worried about by entering into these kinds of situations. Another one we'll address on is it feels too complicated. It can be. But complicated doesn't mean wrong. Usually it just means no one has broken it down in a way that makes sense yet. And that's what we aim to do here with Soundstage EDU. Now, there are other companies out there that will let you come in under their umbrella and they'll fill out your paperwork for you. But there's some inherent issues with that as well that need to be addressed on the governance standpoint locally with you, not the governance of the overall umbrella, but what does your local governance say? In my opinion, those situations can become more complicated because you have two bodies trying to compete. We'll give you one more because honestly, this next one is my favorite. I'm kidding. It's not my favorite. It's my most despised. But it's my favorite one to bring up and address. You ready? We've always done it this way. Friends, that one is dangerous. Because it works. Until one day it doesn't. And when it doesn't, there's nothing in place to catch it. It just catches fire and tends to run away from you. And those are where you get those podcast episodes where you hear me talking about a treasurer getting thrown in jail. Well, they always did it this way. Or you look at Capital Gymnastics. They always did it that way. Now, no one got thrown in jail there, but they lost their 501c3 designation because they were boldly using IFAs and they didn't do anything to stop it once it was brought to the IRS's attention. So we've always done it this way. It can be extremely dangerous because it gives everyone this sense of comfort. Like it's always worked up until this point. And that's the thing. These things work until they don't. That's just I feel like that's just the dumbest line that I say all the time. But it's become like mantra here. It works until it doesn't. Because we have a lot of folks that are plugging into we've always done it this way, or tradition, or the other group does this, school down the street does this, why can't we? Well, here's the thing. Granted, the other school may not have ever been gotten in trouble or been caught. But what are you going to do when it's you? And the IRS comes and knocks on your door. I'm not saying they're going to do that. But what if? And also, if I want to layer something else in here, what are we showing our kids? Because our kids are modeling us. They're modeling our behavior. They're modeling the way we do things. They're modeling the structure we put in place. And if we're teaching them that it's okay to just kind of slide by or just, they're not going to catch us. It's okay. Is that really what you want to be imparting on your children? Or 150 of them? I don't think it is. So that's, this is why I'm building this out. We're on 15 minutes, 16 minutes now. I need to wrap this up. Yeah, here, these situations, these conversations need more than quick answers. They need space. They need context. Oh my goodness, do they need context? Because sometimes, we don't get the full story, and people fill in the blanks or the gaps with whatever fits in the moment. They'll fill in the blank spaces with misinformation, and it will sound confident. I see that kind of thing going on right now in my community with the civic discussion that's going on. People don't have all the information, and people are dogpiling in these Facebook comments with, they're just filling in the gap with a narrative from someplace else that makes no sense and doesn't fit in the conversation. That's the kind of thing that I see happening here. And that's what concerns me. We need context. We need space to discuss. They need someone to help connect the dots in real time. And I'm not saying that's me. I'm saying collectively, that's us together to help connect the dots in real time. That's what 60 Minutes with Mike is supposed to be. That's what it's going to be. It's a place where you can bring what you're actually dealing with and not feel like you're crazy for asking the question. Because I guarantee you, there's going to be someone on the call that's asked the same question and just has not, or they have the question, they haven't asked it yet because they're scared. So you see, you could come along and ask your question, and it's a question that someone's been dying to ask somebody but didn't have the words for. That's why this is going to be so valuable for everybody. That's why this is going to be so important. So this was a first pass. Right? A little rough, a little unpolished, wearing my Pink Floyd shirt. But that's the point. I want you guys to realize that I'm just a real person like y'all. I don't have all the answers. I didn't hang any moons, although I had a client the other day ask me if I hung the moon. But if this is something that would actually help you, I'm going to keep building it. I don't care if it's just two people. Because that's two people that get on the right path. That's two people that are going to be doing it right. That's going to be two people that are going to sleep better at night and not going to have the stress from dealing with all of this stuff. I should show you my desktop so you can see all the documents from multiple boosters that are opened up on my desktop right now. It's nuts. But, the next step of this, coming off of YouTube, it's going to be moving this into a more structured space where people can actually show up and engage. We've been here for almost 20 minutes now. No one has popped in because there are no followers on this channel. So y'all need to help me fix that. So if you want to be part of that when it launches, you can find everything through soundstageedu.com. Join as a free member there. Stay connected. I'll try to move a button for the free membership to the front page. Listen, building a website is not my forte. It's not something I'm good at. It's not something I never knew how to do. But I'm trying. That's why it looks kind of, lo-fi. I'm an audio guy. That's the way that works. But join as a free member there. Stay connected. Get on the mailing list. That way we can tell you, hey, this is, I'm only going to deploy it to members. They're the only ones that are going to have the access to the links for it when we go live. And as it stands right now, my Zoom account will allow 300 people. I don't want 300 people all at once, but if that happens, that happens. That might happen as we go into summer and everybody just kind of freaks out. But this is not about content. This isn't about me entertaining you. This is about getting people out of stuck situations and giving them a way forward. I don't need to help all y'all. I just want to help the ones that are ready and willing to move forward. I passed 20 minutes. I had no idea that I even had the capacity to talk that long solo. But it happened. So, soundstageedu.com. Become a member. And hopefully we get this thing moving forward in a couple of weeks. Start doing some 60 Minutes with Mike live and get some questions answered. So, y'all take care. I'm going to figure out how to stop this thing now. And, oh, there it is, end stream. Y'all take care. Let's raise the bar together.